Morning, morning, morning. Welcome to the Texas Real Estate Show. My name's Steve Williams and I'm the host. Welcome you all. And we've got some interesting points that you can think of yourself. And it's spring break. Everybody deserted me today and it's just me and Kay in the office. But me and Kay will get through it. Good morning, Kay. How are you?
I'm good. I got
Are
some
you living
fruit.
the dream?
I got fruits, no donuts today.
No
Proud.
donuts. That's very unusual for you because I know normally you stop off. That's why she's always late, folks, just so you know, because she's stopping off at the donut shop and fighting through with the local school kids. I guess they need the donuts more than her. But we're going to start off this morning, which is something that's sort of been around. Everybody says how strong China is and everybody's worried about China. But we're going to talk about a position that China's got themselves into, and it's something called China's Ghost Cities. We're just going to show you a little bit of the video that we come up with, and basically the difference in purchasing a house in China to the US is you pay them your down payment in China, then what you do is you go out and you get yourself qualified for a loan and you start paying on the mortgage. Then at that point what happens is they start to build your condominium or your apartment or your home or whatever you want to buy in China. It's different over here. You pay your down payment, and then what you basically do is get your mortgage, but the home is already built. It's already, you know, so you've got no worries. All they do is put a lien on that particular property to make sure that the loan is paid after the 30 years or 15 years. But in China, what happens is, whether that is built or not, well, what's happened is there is literally millions of people that have paid their mortgage and they've been paying on the mortgage. And what's happened is there was a famous company called, the biggest developer in China is called Evergrande. Well, Evergrande have gone broke, and what's basically happened is they declared bankruptcy, and and there's literally these cities which we're going to show you now, which are literally vacant. And what's caused even a bigger problem is the people that have the mortgages on these properties are now refusing to pay the mortgages, and all these empty apartments are just sitting there. Well, I don't remember 2008, but that's basically what happened. People was paying in America in 2008, 2005, when the value of the houses went down, people decided to walk away from these houses because when they was paying their mortgage, it was cheaper for them to walk away than what it was to take the houses on. So, okay, if you can roll that video on these ghost cities in China, it really is pretty amazing. Just look at this, guys. Nice landscaping.
That is so crazy to me.
Do you want to stop it there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, one of the reasons that sort of caused this initially was, if you remember, was in China you can't own land. The government owned the land. And what basically happened was they moved everybody from agriculture and they was moving them into the city. People were taking jobs in the city because they were better paying jobs than working the land on the rice fields and such like. So all of a sudden they had this housing problem where they had nowhere for people to stay. So that's when people started to get paid more, and then they started to build all these buildings, which in a way that I could never understand, why somebody wants to, you know, get a mortgage and then pay your down payment. But it's the only way that's available in China for you to do that. And then the developers go broke and then you're left with nothing. And there's literally people that have lost a lot of money. We're talking serious money. We've even got a few Chinese investors that sold their properties when they seen this coming maybe 8 years ago, and they actually purchased some properties here in the US because they was always worried about, you know, it's okay buying the properties on the rise, but if the bubble bursts, then it's a problem. What's your thoughts on that, Kate?
I think I don't know if I would want to spend money, like you said, I mean, you have no choice. I guess people in China, they don't have an idea of the difference, right? So they're
They have no idea
they're
at
stuck
all.
on top of each other no matter what, right? So it's crazy that they spent all of this money that could have went to the rural people. They spent all of this money that could have went to them, but instead they just have hundreds of cities with nobody living in them. That's no.
And just to let everybody know, I mean, there are complete cities. If you go to your Google and put in China's ghost cities, and you'll be surprised. I mean, there is like 64 million empty apartments.
Mhm.
64 million. That is, what was that? That's a 1 in 5 compared to the US.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And you'd think that they could do something with that. And basically, China really got a serious problem with it.
Do they have a
So
big homeless population in China? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't think it's something personally that I don't think it's something that China released that information.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that they sort of keep to themselves.
It's like
Uh,
Japan. They hide their homeless
really.
people. Yeah, they do.
So you know, I think it's something that they sort of keep pretty quiet.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll move on. Let's move on to the next point. We're going to try and keep today's podcast a little bit short. We are going to talk about the commercial real estate market. We don't really talk about that much. We're going to talk about commercial real estate and the risks to markets that won't sink the ship. After COVID and people started working at home, commercial real estate really started to sink a little bit because people were working at home. It helped residential real estate because people was looking to move into a bigger house where they could buy an office. Um, and even now, a lot of people are still choosing to work at home. Um, it's obviously affected some businesses more than other businesses. My wife works at one of the universities in Houston. They still have to go in and do clinic. They still have to go in there and do different things in their classes. So they're all in-house. Some of the classes are done, online. And so, from that point, it's pretty interesting. I've spoke to a couple of people that own commercial real estate buildings, and they're saying that um, the profit margins are now becoming very finite, in commercial buildings, especially with insurance costs going up. Um, Ever since the coronavirus, I think employee costs have gone up. So some of them are finding it really difficult. Um, the article that I've got in front of you, I don't know if you've got that okay.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, as commercial real estate has been through quite the transformation ever since the pandemic, with companies and financial institutions heavily investing in commercial real estate assets, while businesses and workers move to more remote and hybrid positions. Some on Wall Street are sounding the alarm bells as to how damaging this could eventually be to the stock market. It's not enough to sink the ship. I mean, if you look at the subprime mortgage fiasco in 2008, it gave us the most serious recession since the 1930s, and its ramifications. Schilling affirms, I think now the economy is vulnerable. This is certainly a negative. You've got a lot of other things indicating that inverted yield culture, leading indicators being weak. Um, I'm not going to go into the inverted curve yield, but basically, if you want to do that, you go look at them on Google. It's basically a term that they use for stock investing, where they say it's a sign of recession. But the part that conflicts that at the moment, we're in a very strong economy. The stock market has gone up, you know. A sign this morning was that inflation went up slightly last month, which they wasn't expecting. We're going to talk at the end of the show about mortgage rates. They reckon mortgage rates will probably drop below 7% at the moment. There are other ways to even get it below 7% by doing buybacks with different loan companies. They'll offer buybacks. Buy down, which is basically they will contribute money up front to buy down your interest rate if you're purchasing a property, and that buyback might buy the interest rate down for maybe the first 2 or 3 years. If you're lucky, you can get something which is up to 5 years, but most companies will go to 2 or 3 years for a buy down, which can make a big difference. But anyway, I thought it was an interesting article about commercial real estate. We might get an owner that we know to come on this show. I'd love to get him on. I'm not going to mention his name. He's actually an accountant as well. He runs a family commercial real estate business. I think it'd be really interesting to get his opinion on the market. But I know I've sort of spoken to him in confidence. He basically said that the profit margins are really becoming very, very challenging these days. You know, which will lead to how they maintain the property. You know, they're always looking. You know, insurance has been a real problem with a lot of our commercial real estate here in Houston, because sometimes it's got 20%, 30%. Anyway, moving on, we're going to talk about something now which is a little bit dear and true to me, and me and Kay, perhaps we have different opinions on this. She brought something into the office this morning, and we're going to talk about an Instagram post that somebody put on. I'm very proud of the industry that I'm in. I'm very proud of good realtors that act in a professional manner, that show respect for our industry, but I sort of have contempt for some people that are just doing this for clicks on Instagram, and I think this is one of them occasions. If I was a seller on a house, I personally would not like my house determined in this way. I don't know if these people are actually selling. You might think they're selling on Instagram because they've got people sitting around tables and signing documentation. That could just be making offers on a property. The only way you can find out whether people are selling is what they have on their local MLS. But I personally don't like this, and we're going to run this for you. Which one we're going to run first, Kate? It's totally up to you.
Whichever one's first.
Do the angel.
Okay. So there we go.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kay. You tell me what you think is the plus in doing an Instagram post like that? I don't know what you're gonna say.
I think it's good to get people's eyes on there, and I think
On what,
that
on him or on the property?
on both because I think that people it gets people that might not have been interested in real estate essentially, or maybe someone that didn't think that they could purchase a house and things like that. I mean, obviously his language is foul, but if you kind of go past his cursing, he's still explaining what the house looks like and things like that. And I think
Would
he's
you want to work with somebody like that?
I don't think that he's like that at work though. This definitely seems like
So
it's
so
on
okay,
purpose.
so indirectly what you're telling me is he's doing it just for clicks.
Yeah, he's making
Right.
it's to
And
get people.
that's the part that I'm against, because I don't think it helps our profession to see real estate agents like that doing that, using that type of language. There's another one that's there. I don't think it helps our industry, especially we recently had a $1.8 million lawsuit against real estate agents. What are we doing? You know, if I was a seller, I would not him to be seen to representing me selling my home.
I don't know. I think that it also,
There's no I don't know with me. I would not want him.
I think that a big part of, like
In
we
this
talked about,
housing market, it's easier to sell a house than what it has been for a long time.
probably, yeah, yeah. But what I'm saying is that, you know, from firsthand experience, it's also about the personality of your realtor. If you don't get along with your realtor, they're just going to go to someone else. So even though you might not like him, a different seller or, someone, a potential buyer or something, whoever, they might like them. They might even reach out to these guys.
I wouldn't even trust him.
Yeah,
If he's using that type of language, I wouldn't even trust him
yeah, I think,
to say, what is he saying it up front? Is he saying it behind my back? I just wouldn't trust him as a seller. And
yeah.
I sell properties and I use other agents to sell some of my properties.
And I can agree with that, but that also still goes by like
I
the
think what he's doing it for is clicks and attention.
and he's definitely doing it
So
for clicks and attention, but what I'm trying to say is that it's definitely still getting people's eyes on the real estate agent, on him being able to purchase a house. So they might not, they're obviously for the second guy that we're going to watch, probably won't be able to afford a $1.5 million house, but they'll reach out to him for a cheaper house, or, just because it's also about people who understand this content. If you don't like the content, obviously you're just going to stop watching it. You're not going to watch it. But if you're faithfully watching the content, you're like, oh, dang, I want to go watch, but it's the same thing that we do on this podcast. We put out this
it's a
information.
bit different. I don't go lying on the table and use that language.
Right, but I'm saying it's the same thing for us to get people's eyes
One
because
would,
we give out important information, like we give out information just like we just talked
right,
about.
and I think
And so people
and
are
I
like,
think we
oh,
do,
we do.
and we do,
And so it's like,
we do.
oh, they think,
That's
oh, I want to go for Steven because, oh, okay, he's giving me important
right.
information about. So it's the same thing. Oh, I'm gonna go for Brad because he's giving me. I think he's funny, so I want to work with a funny real estate agent or whatever. So,
But I want people, if they use me as a real estate agent, one, to know I'm knowledgeable.
hmm
Two, to know that communication and knowledge are two of the most important things of a real estate agent.
right.
Three, I can negotiate.
hmm
But four, that I've got integrity.
hmm
When people start to use this sort of language, integrity to me, and that is one of the things when we take our test that we have to show
The integrity.
is integrity.
That makes sense.
Does he show integrity on this Instagram?
I don't think that people are looking. I don't.
It's not a case of people to get your real estate licensing exam.
Yeah,
One of the canons of real estate is that we show integrity.
yeah, but I mean, I think that you're viewing it.
There's really a but in that.
Yes, because I think I'm viewing it as not a real estate agent. You, of course, are viewing it as a broker, as a real estate agent. I'm thinking of it as how younger people are looking when they're looking for houses. They want to see, they he has everything that people want to see. They're looking at quick cuts. They're looking at what the house looks like. You know, this is probably how they talk when they're around their friends and things like that. Because we say off color things when we're not talking, you know, when we're hanging out. So it's like they're when people are looking at this, they're not thinking of it. You're thinking of it as a broker. You wouldn't want him to work for your
I
company.
wouldn't.
But
He
when
he would literally, if he came into me, he'd be out the next door next day.
right, but the way that people who are purchasing and buying the houses, they're probably like, "Oh, he's so funny," or whatever. I want to reach
My
out to him.
personal opinion is, okay, no branded company would want to work with somebody like that. He's doing this because he's not working for a branded company.
You don't think so?
I know he's not. I've already looked him up. All right. And what's happening is no brand would want somebody like that
Yeah.
doing an Instagram like that. So he's doing it for attention to generate the business.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But I still don't agree with it because of the way. Go to the second one. All right. Let me tell you something about that. The first thing is for him to do a video like that, he has to have the permission of the owner.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he's got the permission of the owner. There's actually a Texas real estate document that you need to do that.
He does. It says it in the caption.
All right. Okay.
It says he
So-
tagged the owner in the caption.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he has to have the permission of the owner to shoot that.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is, if I was the owner of that property, I definitely wouldn't want a photo of my kids
Being on there.
on there.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've been in business 25 years. We had a complaint from maybe 18 years ago
Mm-hmm.
where we showed a house and there was video cameras in the house. And we showed the house to somebody and their kid decided to jump on the sofa and they had a complaint.
Wow.
So you got video cameras in houses now when you're showing houses.
Mm-hmm.
And my honest opinion is, if I was, as I said to you before, if I'm a seller, and I'm not saying this as a real estate agent, I'm telling you as a person selling a home, and I have sold my own homes in the past, I wouldn't trust an agent like that with his clients. If he acts like that in the house, I wouldn't trust him.
You can
Because them are my
understand.
personal items in the house.
Yeah. So I'm going through, but
But they're doing it for the clicks. I totally get that. I mean, that's the way. But I think there's a pretty successful company in Houston that uses Instagram on a very successfully. And what they basically do is they do dances through their homes.
Mhm.
That to me is acceptable. It's fun. There's, there's no bad language on it. So, from that point of view, congratulations to that particular company. And I think they use it a lot more effectively than what it is. But, as far as these two guys are concerned, I think they need to clean up their act, regardless how successful they are on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely just
It's clickbait. That's all it is. If I was a home seller, I'd say, well, what is it? Does
what
my realtor want to do clickbait, or do they honestly want to sell my home?
Yeah, and so I'm looking into their stuff, and it looks like for the most part, the main thing that they sell are new home builds. So that's probably what it is.
Well, that's
So the
great news.
builders, yeah, so the builders are reaching out to them and they're asking them to show the houses because most of these that they're doing, I'm looking at it, most of them are just all new home builds. So
Where are you
that's
getting
what
that
it looks
information
like.
from?
Just reading them and the news story about Brad, um, for San Antonio. He just does mainly new home builds. That's all they're doing is yeah. So and like Brad, he works with where did it go? He works with Fidelity Home Builds or something, or Integrity Homes. So he works with Integrity Home
Well,
Builders.
Integrity Homes need to learn about
So
integrity.
that's
Anyway, let's move on. We're now going to talk about the US 30-year mortgage rate drops below 70%, spurring home purchases. This news comes from Bloomberg. US mortgage rates dropped back below 7% for the first time in a month, spurring an increase in applications for home purchases. The contract rate on a 30-year mortgage decreased 18 basis points, the biggest decline in nearly 3 months, to 6.84% in the week ending March the 8th. We've seen an increase in the number of home sales that we've had over the last 4 weeks. We have started to see an uptick. Mortgage applications are up. So, we're getting into the summer months from Easter through to around Thanksgiving, especially when the kids are going back to school in August. That's when really the market hots up because people are trying to get into a different school district, and that makes more sense to move. So I know that's why I know one of the loan girls isn't here this morning. Courtney's not here because she said that she's trying to put a loan together today and it's on fire. And when she said that, I said, "Is your house on fire?" She said, "No, she's just trying to put out a fire with it and get this loan put through for today." So that'll be another home buyer, first time home buyer in a home.
So I've been working the rodeo, and a lot of the people that work there are, a couple of the bartenders are also real estate agents. And so they said that they chose to do this because obviously you make quite a bit at the rodeo, but also they're like, well, hopefully, they're going to go back to, home selling. And one of the guys was like, oh, well, we're looking during the second quarter, that everything will start increasing again. So that it looks like this is on the positive. It's on the same track.
It is. I think it is.
Yeah.
I do think, the market is on a push at the moment, and I do think it will increase.
So that's good. And below 7% is crazy.
Well, it's not crazy. I mean, it was down to what, 2.5, 3.25 at one point. But but you'll never see them. You'll never see them rates again.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll wrap that up there for the Texas Realtor Show for this week. So thank you for tuning in to the Texas Real Estate Show. Please comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, share your views on the two realtors that we've shown. We do wish them well, in relation to, selling homes, but I personally put more before the dollar if you want to. I want to serve, as I said to you, when we do our TREC exam, canons, one of the canons is integrity. And I do look on that for me and my clients, whether I'm working with a seller or a buyer. and I'm personally not going to lay around their house or lay on the floor. I want to treat their property with the respect that I would want to treat it. But anyway, apart from that, I wish them well. I hope they do well, and I hope they're very successful. Anyway, so until this time next week, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Thank you for Kay for turning up. Sorry you didn't get your donut this morning.
No, it's okay. I got the fruit.
But anyway, please like, subscribe, as I said. So we'll see you next week. Enjoy your spring break.